Hi, I'm Vivian, the knitter.
And I'm Alyson, the crocheter, and you're listening to Keep Calm and Carry Yarn.
Thank you so much for joining us for episode 20 of Keep Calm and Carry Yarn, a knitting and crocheting podcast brought to you by me, Vivian, and my daughter, Alyson. I'm coming at you from New Hampshire, voted the second best state to live in by the U.S. World Report.
And I am recording from Scotland because I live here in Edinburgh.
Have you been, sweetie?
I've been good. Yeah, I don't know. Just regular good.
Are you getting excited?
Excited? Yeah, I'm excited because I'm coming home to Boston, well, to the States, to New Hampshire, to see you in, less than a week. So maybe...
In 5 days?
Yeah, very soon. Probably about when this podcast comes out. So maybe we'll record like a little mini special episode while I'm there.
Maybe. If we can get our act together. There's so much to do.
And then not long after that, you're going to be here in Scotland for the Edinburgh Yarn Festival.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that.
And we just got an email from EYF, from the organizers, about our podcaster passes, which should be coming in the mail soon.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, just as a reminder for any of you listeners who are also going to be at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, we're going to be in the Podcaster Lounge at the Meet the Podcaster events on both Friday and Saturday. Yeah, so come say hey. Yeah, and, we'll just be around shopping the rest of the time.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of shopping and talking, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. But just to give you listeners, new and old and whatnot, just a little spiel, I'm just going to do this at the beginning, that just as a reminder that you can subscribe to us on both iTunes and YouTube. So if you're watching the video version on YouTube, you've got your pictures and stuff, and if you're thinking, actually, I'd love to be listening to Alyson and Vivian on my drive into work, you can actually subscribe to our audio version and do just that. And otherwise, if you're listening to the audio version and want to know, have time to sit down and look at some photos, the YouTube version is pretty sweet because all the pictures are on that, so you can see what we're talking about. And sometimes I put in random pictures and videos of the cats because I have no other relevant photos to show. And then you can also follow our Instagram at KCACY Podcast and join our Ravelry group at Keep Calm and Carry Yarn Podcast.
Yes, please join us.
Mm-hmm. But shall we jump into our BuzzFeed quiz?
Yes, this one's a funny one.
Yeah, so it's a Kim Possible personality quiz, and I feel like
not everybody might
know what Kim Possible is, but we will know who it is, and anyone from my generation from the States will know who Kim Possible is. It was a cartoon on the Disney Channel.
Yes.
And she was a teenage spy, basically, with her. So her name was Kim Possible, and her sidekick was her friend Ron Stoppable. And he had a naked mole rat as a pet, and he helped them out as well. So, yeah, we're going to find out what Kim Possible character we are.
I've been asking Madeline to make the Kim Possible, her when she said her communicator noise, like make that into my text notification, and she hasn't done it for me yet.
You've been asking for this for years.
I have, and I'm like, forget it. I'll just go buy it. She's like, no, you're not gonna buy it. I will make it for you, and she hasn't done it yet.
She just hasn't done it. Yeah, her little communicator thing. It goes beep beep beep.
Yep,
and that's the Kim Possible noise. I actually had a friend who's in college, and her ringtone or her text message, she had the Kim Possible ring beep. Anyway, so I got She Go. It says, you're a hot, unstoppable badass. Not even the little things bother you as you tackle the world with undeniable charm and your impeccable sarcasm.
Wait, wasn't she the bad guy?
Yeah, she was the bad guy. There was like a family, I think, was it a family of bad guys? There was She-Go and there was her brother He-Go. And He-Go was a total, he was like a hunk, but an idiot. Yeah.
I don't really remember it that much because, I mean, I did sit through it with you guys, and then there was one year when we went to visit Disney World, and at Epcot, they had a Kim Possible mission for the little kids to do. And by then, Kim Possible was kind of like, I'm not even sure if it was still being broadcast. But Madeline was the only one that was still young enough to do it, and she like barely knew who she was. Okay, you're going to laugh, Ron Stoppable. You're goofy, charming, and a great friend with a deep love for burritos and unquestionable loyalty to your friends. You'll do anything to protect the ones you care about from trouble. I'm goofy, and I have a naked mole rat.
But I mean, all the other things, being lovable and loyal and stuff.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, I'll take hot, unstoppable badass.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But this was sort of one of those ones where it was just like, you could probably guess, if you remembered the series, you could probably guess like which answers went to which character, and some of them are just ridiculous and you never actually, like if you had $1 million, what would you do? And then the last option is eat the money. I didn't even know who that would be.
Who would that be?
Maybe Rufus, the mole rat, the naked mole rat.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
What did you pick?
I said I would treat myself to an exotic vacation.
Oh, I said I would help a lot of other people. But then, I would treat myself too, but you couldn't pick them all.
Oh, that was the what do you want to do in the future?
Oh, sorry. Oh, what about your favorite food?
I did the nachos.
I did ribs. Who's going to pick salad? I mean,
I don't know.
A good salad is yummy, but I mean, it's not my favorite. I mean, if I can just eat whatever the heck I want, I go for the ribs.
I feel like I do like ribs, but I feel like you can't really screw up nachos. Like, you can go to any crap pub or restaurant and get nachos, and you're like, yeah, pretty good.
I feel like if I don't have to worry about cholesterol, blood sugar, and all the other bad stuff that it comes with, it's going to be ribs all the way. Yeah, I'm getting hungry thinking about that now.
Okay, we can move on.
All right. How are you doing on your Ultra Violet project?
I am done. And just as a reminder for people, this is our Ultra Violet KCAL, which is going on until March 1st, so it's almost over. And then you'll have until March 5th to put your FOs into the FO thread on Ravelry. But yes, I finished my Carloway Cowl, and I didn't stumble over the name this time. I was basically nearly finished the last time we podcasted, but I made a bit of a mistake because one of the things I suggested was to use a smaller hook for the rib, and I did do that, and it worked out fine. But then as I was doing the finishing rib, I forgot to switch to the smaller hook, so I'd done maybe like 2 rows of the rib, and then looked at it and was like, this doesn't look right. It doesn't look the same as the other one, and then I realized, I didn't switch my hook, so I had to undo it. But it's fine, it's not that big. And so yeah, and I really like it, and it's just, I don't know, it's just really nice. I really like the yarn and the way it's worked up. It's not, it's soft because it's got the Angora in it. And it's, even though it's DK, it felt a bit thinner than other DK yarn. So the fabric itself feels very like
airy?
Airy and drapey, even though it's a small project. Although I think I actually made it a bit smaller. I said that last time, didn't I? Than what was the actual pattern, because I was afraid. Yeah. So I do sometimes struggle getting it over my head if my glasses are on.
Oh, take your glasses off.
Yeah. But I've worn it out a bunch. I didn't block it or anything because I didn't think it needed to be. Because it's just perfect.
It looks
but
nice.
Yeah, so I've worn it lots.
Like it.
Now I was almost thinking I could make another one instead of having the so it's like the charcoal gray is the ribbing, and then the inside pattern is done in the natural, the gray, and the purple. So obviously I've got less of the gray now, so I was like, I could do another one with white ribbing, and then the same colors on the inside, and that might look okay.
Yeah, that
and
would
I could
look nice.
give that to somebody. And then you finished yours ages ago, right?
Well,
A
technically,
few episodes ago.
I think I might have 3 things for the knit along.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So there was the hat that we talked about. No, the cowl that we talked about last time. And the hat. The coins, because it has purple in it.
Yeah, but I thought we decided that wasn't like really purple enough.
Fine. And the mittens. The mittens I was working on. That definitely has
mittens.
purple. I finished those. Should I talk about that now or during our FOs?
You might as well talk about it now. We've already started.
Okay.
Of course, if we talk about it now, are we going to have any FOs to talk about?
I have one more that we can talk about. I finished it.
Nice. So that's the...
Very cute. It's the Fiddlehead mitts, and they're fully lined.
So were there instructions for kid sizes, or did you have to...
No, I just used the smaller needles and thinner yarn. See?
So fancy.
So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Nice. So is that going to be
It's a Christmas gift for the little one, the littlest one in the family right now.
You are so on top of things. So far.
So far. Let's see. There's always last minute running around doing stuff. You know, for me.
So I guess maybe I shouldn't mention, but you're planning on doing a pair for yourself, yeah?
Yeah, eventually, sometime this year. Because I bought that nice Angora stuff from Loop. I'm very excited to work on. So that's it for my knit along stuff. I've been bad. I haven't actually posted any of them in our FO threads. I need to do that.
But we've got lots of other FOs in the FO thread.
I figured, does it really matter if I don't post it because I'm not eligible for the prize?
Yeah, I guess. But still, it's nice to share.
I will share. I will share my.
Actually, somebody, I can't remember who it was. They made I think it was a crocheted cowl. Oh, it was Nicola, I think, who I met at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival last year. She made a crocheted cowl, and it reminded me of your gris de lin. That's my French. Cowl. But like a crocheted version, sort of, because it had like the sort of diamondy motif
to it. Wait, did she post it already?
I think she posted it on Instagram. I saw it on Instagram.
Okay, I haven't really been good about going on to Ravelry lately.
And then we've not really figured out what we're going to do for prizes yet, but I thought I'd mention that we did get in the mail a little package from Talia, who had offered up some tea all the way from Australia, because she's got a website called Tea for Talia where she sells different types of tea. So this particular one, it's an herbal tea. But I think she said it turns color when you add lemon juice to it.
Oh, really? That's really cool.
Yeah. Let's see if I can find the exact... the tea is called Marshmallow Flowers, and it's a kind of blue-purple color. And yeah, lemon juice turns it pink. So it's to do with the acidity or the pH or something, because like I did a similar thing. I did a gin tasting, and I think it was a cornflower and chamomile gin, and when you added the tonic to it, it turned pink.
Oh, that's
from
kinda
blue.
Cool.
So it sounds like basically kind of similar, where it's kind of a blue purple color and then it turns pink.
It's chemistry. Do we have any chemists in the audience? Or we can always ask your aunt.
So that will be part of the prizes, whatever it is. And so thank you, Talia. And I also...
Yes, thank you, Talia. And I was very confused.
I did tell you that to expect a package.
You did, but I forgot that it was coming from Australia. Where I don't know, did you tell me it was coming from Australia?
So. Anyway, but I also found out that she's got a crochet podcast, or like a kind of brand newish one. I think she's on episode 3, and that's Talia Louise Crochet. I think I found out because Faye mentioned it on her last episode.
Oh, so, okay. I'll make sure. I'll check it out.
I haven't had time to check it out because I just found out today. But yeah, so check out Talia.
Oh, nice. One thing about us going to Edinburgh next month and being part of the Podcaster Lounge, I feel obligated. Oh, I got to check out all the other podcasters that are. I'm having a hard time keeping
Yeah,
up.
I mean,
And I'm getting them all mixed up too. Like in my head, like, wait a minute, is that the no that? It's very confusing.
yeah. Well,
But there are so many good podcasts out there that.
it's like try as you might, though. It's like you're never going to be able to, fully subscribe to every single great knitting and crocheting podcast and keep up and everything, which is a shame.
I know. Well, it's like it's sometimes like you hear about something, where especially when you're talking about an audio podcast, like while you're listening in the car and somebody will mention it, and like, oh, I'll try that. I'll have to give it a listen. Then by the time you get out of the car, you forget what it's called. And then sometimes for me, it's like I forget which podcast I was listening to, so I can't I can't like go to the notes to see,
What podcast
and then you have to like, wait, was it? So that's kind of a problem sometimes when you listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, speaking of the podcaster lounge, one of my first whip is to do with the EYF Blacker Yarns Cowl, which I'm still working on. I had kind of put it on pause while I was finishing my Carloway cowl, and now I've gone back to my wisteria trellis shawl. And even though it's for the Blacker Yarns cowl, I haven't actually gotten to the Blacker Yarns yarn part of the shawl. I'm still working on the lace edging, which I'm doing in a different yarn that I'm blanking on. But it's coming along. I have to do 38 pattern repeats of this lace edging, and I'm at 5, 10, 15, 21, 2. I'm on the 23rd. And Sam keeps looking at it and he asked me, how much more do you have to do? How much more do you have to do? And I was at around 20 and I said, I have to do 38. He's like, you're only halfway. You're never going to finish. And then he's like, how long is it going to be? Like, because it's quite long already. It's meant to be, I think it's going to be 80 inches long. It's the finished length of the edging. And I mean, my goal is to finish it for the cowl, which is March 11th, which is less than a month away. So I don't know if I'm actually going to finish it. It's a shallow shawl. It's only 13 inches
deep.
Yeah, is that right? So 5 of those inches is made up with the lace edging.
What is he seems so much more invested in your crocheting than your father has ever been in any of my projects.
Yeah, well, that's because,
nice.
Yeah, because he's a good boy. Good boy. So yeah, that's coming along, and it is repetitive, but it is it's nice to work on. I think it did mess up at one point because I've got my own notes for how to do the lace bit, because you've got obviously like the really detailed notes from the actual pattern where because every row is it's not complicated, it's an easy pattern, but it's detailed in that you have to do the single crochet in either the top of the shell or in the chain 5 gap, and it just ends up being a lot of words. So my abbreviated version just assumes that I know that if it says single crochet, the single crochet is either going to be in the top of the shell or in the chain 5 gap, and it's just whichever one happens to come along. I don't need to know which of the two that's going to be.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
yeah,
it's looking very nice.
Yeah, I think I'm excited. Like I do want, like, I want to get to the next bit. The actual Blacker Yarns yarn that I'm using is the gray one, but I have a thing about, I don't really like triangle shawls. They're just too old lady. Like, because if you wear it as an actual shawl, that's like an old lady thing. And then, I mean, I know you can do like the whole scarf thing, and then you have like the pointed bit on the front, and
like wearing it like a bandana.
Yeah, like, which is all right, but I'm not crazy about that look either. It reminds me a bunch of like those scarf. The French students wore them when we were. Yeah. Anyways, when we had French exchange students in high school.
What you're talking about.
And I had one from when I went to France.
Those fringy ones, yeah.
Yeah, and it just reminds me of that. And so this shawl is more of a crescent shape, I guess, and because it's pretty shallow, like I said, like the 13 inches or whatever, it'll be slightly more like a scarf, I think.
Uh-huh.
So yeah. So that's my first whip. And then my other whip is another. Okay, so it's a whip that I've been working on for a while, and I haven't talked about in a while. It's my Life's a
Oh.
Plus Afghan.
Uh-huh. That was on the floor.
Yeah, which I showed you before we started recording, 'cause I just wanted to show you. But so it's just a granny square blanket, and I've picked it up again because Rosina from the Zines and Roger podcast is hosting a granny along right now, and she
Uh-huh.
said that you could do whips.
Oh.
And so it was a bit cheeky of me because I had most of the squares done. Not all of them.
Uh-huh.
I think I'd had like maybe around 90 done, and I had
Uh-huh.
30 to 40 to do.
Uh-huh.
So I finished those squares up, and now I am sewing all the squares together. And I've never done anything this big. I've never done a blanket. So I've got the first bit sewed together,
Uh-huh.
and just doing an invisible seam. And I don't know, like I'm changing, because obviously I've got several different colors, maybe eight colors. So with the invisible seam, you could basically use any color and you wouldn't see it, but I'm still doing it so that if two squares of a different color are next to each other,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sewing it together with one of the colors.
Mm-hmm. How exactly do you do invisible seam? I don't know
Um,
how that's done.
so you put the squares together. So if they're on the table, sort of, or in front of you, right side
Uh-huh.
up, you put your needle back to front through one side of the
Uh-huh.
loop, and you kind of do it in the back loop,
Uh-huh.
and then you go to the other side and you do the same back to front, and you
So
do
are
it
you
in the
are
back
it's
loop.
almost like tying a shoelace the way you're doing it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds like the mattress stitch.
yeah,
Like when you're in the knitting.
maybe. Okay, well, maybe it is sort of. I think when I looked up mattress stitches with crocheting,
Mm-hmm.
it was more like they did it around, like through the V, not like through where you would like the stitch where you would normally
Mm-hmm.
go, rather than
Mm-hmm.
just through one of the
The back.
loops.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know, but maybe it's the same thing. Maybe just doing it through the back loop makes it slightly more invisible.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I'm gonna have more ends to weave in because I'm changing the color of what I'm
Yeah.
sewing in. Yeah, and it's just sort of because I'm not just doing it in a straight line because it's not all in one color. It's just
Uh-huh.
sort of coming together and like really like right now the piece that I have is pretty much in one piece, and it makes sense. But before I had like bits like dangling off it and not connected and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm excited, and I kind of joked that all the squares were just going to sit on our living room floor until I sew it all together. But I think I'll probably have to move them because I think it's going to take me a while.
Well, at least you don't have cats.
Yeah, otherwise I definitely wouldn't be able to do that. Although I discovered I had 2 extra mustard color squares. I thought I counted everything exactly, but I made 2 too many.
I guess you didn't count right then.
So yeah, that is my whip. And funnily enough, when I was looking up Talia's podcast, I saw on her Ravelry page that she just finished a sort of. I don't think she on the project page it hadn't said it was the Life's a Plus Afghan, but it was basically this like 5 granny square plus
Uh-huh.
design. I was like, oh,
Well, that's a good amount of whips that you have.
2.
Yeah, but they're both large things.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're not
Yeah.
small things.
Uh-huh.
I was kind of lost because I finished my magnum opus, my fair Maxfield.
Oh
cardigan.
yeah.
And I was like, I have a sweater in mind that I want to start next. I have the yarn. At least I have most of the yarn. The body of the yarn. I mean, the body of the sweater. It still needs to be wound up, and I still need to do gauge swatches. But I was just feeling so uninspired to actually wind yarn and do gauge swatches. So I didn't start that sweater right away.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully by our next episode, I'll have at least started it. So I just started knitting hats and stuff. And
No kidding. Hats? You've been knitting hats?
hats. I just started experimenting. So I finished one, and the second one, this is the,
Mm-hmm.
can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Don't they look kind of like cables?
Yeah, kind of.
I think they're star stitches. I've done this stitch before where you knit 3 stitches together, yarn over, and then knit those same 3 stitches together again.
Okay.
So you're not decreasing
Mm-hmm.
or increasing. It's the same amount, but those 3 stitches are gathered, and then 3 stitches come out of it.
Okay. This means nothing to me, but I'm just going to keep saying okay on behalf of our listeners who are knitters.
Can you see that?
Yeah, so it's
Can
like,
you see how that's done?
so to me, like, are you talking about like the white bits?
Yes.
Yeah, they look like little lotus flowers.
No, you know what? They're not called star stitch. I think they're called daisy stitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a hat a while ago where you did that stitch every row.
Mm-hmm.
So it all looks like stars or whatever. But anyway, so I decided to do it where the daisy stitches are a different color, just to make it pop.
Yeah.
And so I'm writing notes and everything,
Ooh.
just keeping track of everything. I just thought that it was just like such a cool looking, especially with the different color. That it was such a cool looking thing. So that's what I'm experimenting with. And look, it's purple.
A light purple.
A light purple. Well, it was just yarn that I had at home. So that's what I've been doing instead of starting a new sweater, just making more hats because, you can never have enough hats.
I mean, you probably could, but...
Well, I have a pile of stuff that I can either donate or they can be last-minute gifts for people that I've forgotten about. So that's my only whip that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
I'm just sewing my squares. I don't know how to deal with the corner where they meet where the 4 corners meet. So some of them, just the way I've happened to sew it, there's not really much of a hole, but some of them there's like quite the hole in the corner.
Oh,
I don't know what to do about them. I feel like it's gonna bother me. But it's like, but why should it matter? The granny square is full of holes.
Well, if it bothers you, you can take some yarn and just sew it up.
Yeah, but I don't know if I should just like wait until the end and just find the corners because not all of them have that. Like some of them, it's like, no, look at that. It's all just, and
it all depends on the order that you're sewing.
Yeah, I think so because I'm not necessarily taking one bit of string and sewing in a straight line. I'll be like, it's like zigzagging around depending on where the colors are,
So you don't have to break your yarn and
yeah. But then that means I've got weird holes in weird places. Yeah. So I think
I'm sure you'll figure something out.
Yeah, and it'll be fine. And you know what? By the end of it, maybe I'll just be so sick of sewing things that I'll be like, screw the holes, they're just gonna stay. I could see that happening as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that happening too.
I don't have any other projects though to talk about.
Well, we kind of blended our FOs with our
Cowl
stuff, and I do have one more FO.
Oh,
the first hat that I finished was just cheapo yarn that I got from Michael's a long time ago for something else, and had some leftovers, and it's the same stitch, but I didn't change colors. It looks so different.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about the texture of the stitch rather than the color.
Yeah, and then also I didn't have a purl in between the stitches. I had like a column of pearls in between each of
So the pearl, is that what creates when you said it kind of looks like cables? Because it's it's like
because it's
they kind of I don't know how to describe that, but it's just like little like bulbs.
So with this, it doesn't look as much like cables. I mean, if you stretch it out like that, they look kind of like cables.
But yeah, no, it's more just a texture.
Like a texture. Yeah, I think I'm going to give this one to your grandmother so she can have the two hats to choose from, the purple one and this one.
So when you were saying you were doing something else that used that like daisy thingy,
yeah.
What was it? Did you say that you were making? Was it also a hat?
I think it was a hat. It was Hermione's Godric Hollow hat, I think it was called.
So for that one, was that more like that gray one you're doing now, or was it different?
No,
still?
it was. See, I have like rows or rounds where I don't do the daisy stitches. So that hat, it's like you do the daisy stitches every single round or every single row.
I see.
So they look almost like, I don't know, if they look like little stars or little clumps of flowers like all over. There's no blank spaces.
Right.
There's no like
so it's quite
space.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I still have that hat somewhere around. I can take a picture of that.
Cool.
So that's it with the knitting. I mean, not a whole lot of knitting, just little bits of knitting.
One thing that I have, it's not really FO or anything, but my headband, crochet headband that I made the pattern up for. Someone had asked me in the comments to give more detailed instructions for slip stitching the two bits together to create the twist with like photos and stuff, because the way you do it, you need to make sure that the slip stitches appear on the top of your project. And I've been ignoring her comment for like a month because I was like, I don't know how to explain this. So finally today I was like, you know what? This morning I'm gonna figure this out. So I had to make up a sample, and I can put it was just yarn that I had, which wasn't the best yarn to photograph because it's a bright pink, but I used white as a contrast to do the bit, and like I came up with like a little like explanation, which I thought was all right. But mostly I'm saying all this because as I was rereading my pattern just to create this little kind of like swatch thing, I realized I'm like, did I make a mistake? Like a pretty big mistake. Just where I forgot, I say to repeat row 2 and 3 times, but I think you were meant to repeat row 1 and then repeat row 2 and 3 more times. And like obviously the pattern is like super easy, that like everyone else who has made it successfully probably has just figured that out. So I changed it, but then now I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm just reading this wrong and I did do it right the first time. So now I'm thinking I need to remake it just to double check. So I don't have. I'll either buy some cheap bulky yarn, or I might just double up on like the paint box yarn that I have, the acrylic yarn, just to do a quickie one. Oh yeah.
This is why professional designers have test knitters or test crocheters.
Yep.
And we are definitely not.
Nope.
Professionals.
Nope. But yeah, so do you have anything for Yarny Bits and Bobs? Because I do.
I know you do. I really don't have anything.
I decided a little while ago, because I've already decided how much money I'm allowed to spend at EYF, which, whatever. But I also struggle, I think I said last time as well, or a few times ago, walking into a yarn store without having some sort of shopping list. When it just comes to, I kind of like this yarn, because I'm not an experienced enough crocheter to be able to think, I'd really like to make a sweater out of this yarn and then know how much yarn to buy. Like, I have no idea. I'd end up buying either way too much or way not enough. So I've gone through my favorites and my pattern library and come up with a list of designs that I want to make. And then I've listed next to them what type of yarn, and then the recommended yarn, or, the yarn that they actually use in the pattern and the fiber content, and then how much. So I'm going to take this list with me to EIF so that I can just, if I see yarn, and just like buy a skein because I like it. But I also have a backup list of like, right, this yarn would be good to make this top out of, and I know how much yarn to get. Because obviously you can just Google it quickly, or look it up on Ravelry quickly. But sometimes that, like, I don't like doing that in shop sometimes. So I'm just like stood there waiting for the page to load, be like, okay, how much yarn do I need, and then like looking at the sizes and all that. So I've already looked up exactly how much I would need according to the sizes and stuff as well. So in case anyone is interested, I've got the pleated cardigan by Cat Golden. That was what kind of the catalyst for it, because I knew I really wanted to make it, and I already know that I want to get an olive colored yarn for it, because my boss's baby was wearing this cardigan, a new cardigan that her mom had gotten her from Zara, because Zara was having a sale, and everyone was just oohing and awing over her like outfit that day, because she was just like such a fashionable baby in this olive cardigan and like jeans or whatever. And the more I looked at it, I was like, yeah, I want a cardigan in that color too. so I've got it in my head. That's the color I want to make this pleated cardigan.
That's funny. I don't think that's a color that I would have put on any
Olive.
of my babies.
It was very like neutral, minimalist sort of cardigan and sort of thing. Very fashionable baby, you know. And then I've got some other a skirt and another top and some scarves and stuff that are on the list, just so I can have some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, focus when I'm shopping.
That's a good idea. I used to go to Webb's when we were living in New York, and it's about a 2-hour drive or 1.5-hour drive from where we lived with a spreadsheet.
Like a spreadsheet that, like, as a list?
Yeah, as a list of possibilities. I would have a pattern that I wanted to knit, and then you can go on their website to see what was on sale. But, you know, sometimes colors don't look the same on the screen.
So it was not just a spreadsheet of patterns that you wanted to do, but the actual yarn you were thinking of getting.
Yeah, the actual yarn and the possible colors. You know, check this color out or whatever. It was a very extensive spreadsheet, and also, you know, I wasn't as experienced. Yeah. So I mean, nowadays,
I feel like that's probably where I'm at. I feel like I need that guidance of that pattern. Like the yarn that they use was, you know, alpaca silk blend. So like, what do I need to use? And
yeah. So I would go to Webb's armed with my spreadsheet. And that way I wouldn't have, you know, at least I would check out the sale yarns first before I looked at the stuff on the regular floor, just so I know that all the possibilities has either been crossed off or
you mean all the cheap possibilities.
Because a lot of times, what's that? All the cheap possibilities. Well, a lot of times, like, you know, I want to make this in a specific color, and you want to know what's available. When you look on the screen, and that looks like it's a lavender color, but then when you look in person, it's actually more of a periwinkle. So, you know, do you want the periwinkle or do you want lavender? Or, you know, so that's why I did the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And there's so many choices. It's like if I narrow it down, at least I don't have to like run around and look at every single thing. You know what I'm saying? So I know what that's like. So let me hear about your yarny bits and bobs.
That was my yarny bits and bobs.
Now, but you went to the tapestry thing.
Ah. So, yeah, I posted on Instagram. I mean, it's not really yarny. Maybe a little bit.
It is yarny.
So I went to Stirling Castle yesterday, on Saturday, with Sam. And it's a surprise in Stirling. And there was a tapestry exhibit, which the tour guide mentioned, so he must be doing he's probably been working at Stirling Castle for a while, that he used to know it as the Tapestry Studio because it was a working studio where they were working on recreating the unicorn tapestries, which I was saying to Sam, I recognized the sort of the last one of the set. It's the unicorn in captivity, where it's just the unicorn by itself in a round fenced off enclosure sort of thing. I'm sure they use that on the set of Harry Potter. Yeah, in like the Gryffindor common room or something. And that's probably where I recognize it from. I think the original tapestries are at the Cloisters in New York City.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so basically back in 2001, I think the project started to recreate these tapestries to put into Stirling Castle. So you can see the recreations. I wasn't able to get pictures of the recreated tapestries. I think you can take pictures of them. They're inside the room that's meant to look like maybe the queen's bedroom or something like that, or some sort of chamber. And I think one of the tapestries, it was recreated from 2 fragments, so they don't actually have the whole original tapestry, so they sort of did a reinterpretation to recreate that panel of the tapestry. But yeah, it was really cool, and just the exhibit just went through the sort of research process of trying to recreate medieval weaving techniques that people don't really use anymore. One of the things I talked about was slits, where you just leave space, like empty space, to create shadows rather than introducing a new color. So you can sort of almost see through, you could poke through the tapestry. So doing that. And that they emphasized that wasn't an exact reproduction. It was sort of reinterpretation or recreation. And it basically looks the same. The colors are more vibrant than the originals, obviously, because
the originals have
faded a lot. Yeah, so they're talking about looking at the back of the tapestry to get an idea of the original colors. They did the tapestry at a different warps per inch, so they're slightly smaller, but it said it saved them 13 years of work. Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I got a good picture of just the yarn on spools. I was like, that just looks pretty. So I took a picture of that.
That's pretty neat. I mean, how long did it take for them to do it?
14 years. So the guy, like I said, the tour guide, he was saying that it's a tapestry exhibit, but to him, it used to be the tapestry studio.
14 years.
Yeah, and I think they reckoned it's the biggest or longest sort of weaving undertaken in the last 100 years or whatever or something. I don't know if it was specifically.
So how long would it have taken them the original? Because you said it was bigger.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe if more people were working on it. I mean, there was still a lot of, like, they had a list of the team of weavers that were working on it. And what I also thought was interesting, in one case they had just some random bits from the beginning of the project, like Polaroids of the tapestries used as references and all this sort of stuff. And then the same thing for when they finished, and they featured a USB flash drive, and just the fact that in that 14 years, technology changed so much while they were weaving it, and which is sort of crazy because you don't really think about something like that taking that long, and just the differences, and how much easier would it have been if they'd started the project in 2015 instead of finishing it in 2015. But then, who knows where technology will be in another 15 years. And one of the quotes from, I don't know, something was about, the weavers having to work on medieval time, and just the idea that because things took longer, you had to sort of be in a different place and a different mindset to just sit there, and you can't rush it, because if you rush it, it's gonna show in the work. And yeah, just the fact that you're dedicating your life, maybe not your life, but your foreseeable future to just a set of tapestries that's just gonna sit in one room in one castle.
I would think that it wouldn't be the same people, because people had short lives back then too.
Yeah, maybe.
That's fascinating. I love seeing things like that.
But yeah, now I'm thinking, I'm like, I have to go to the cloisters and see the originals.
That's neat. So, you have anything from Mommypedia this time?
Nothing from Mommypedia, but I had something for a few of our favorite things.
Oh, what do you have?
So I've been trying to catch up more on some podcasts, and so I use the Overcast app for audio podcasts, and it's great because not only so you can speed it up, but there's also a thing called like smart speed, and it shortens silences. So even though you select, I want it to be sped up by 1.25, you can actually watch it. It fluctuates a little bit between 1.25 and a little bit faster, depending on like how much of a silence there is, and it just like shrinks down the silence, so it temporarily becomes a little faster. So I've been listening to not only crafting podcasts, but all my podcasts are like that. I'm like, I'm going to get so much in. It's going to be great. And then on YouTube, on the app, you can't speed it up, but on the actual computer, you can speed it up. So I usually listen to things at 1.25. But then there's shortcuts. If you press K, that's pause. And then J is it rewinds 10 seconds, and L, it fast forwards 10 seconds. So sometimes the podcast is talking about knitting or socks, and it's just not something I'm interested in. I'm just like, okay, just do that a little bit. Yeah.
That's kind of neat, but I was going to ask you, so why would you pick to listen to your podcast, your audio podcast, on Overcast versus the Apple Podcast app?
Because of that feature.
But Apple Podcast also has, 1.2, whatever. You can speed it up.
But does it have the smart speed?
No, it doesn't have the smart.
It's got the smart speed, and it also has voice boost or something. And I've always had it on, and as I was playing with the settings, I turned it off for a second, and I was like, oh, it does make a difference.
Oh, really?
It makes the voices a little louder, and I don't know if it reduces the background noise a bit. I've not listened, experimented to see what that voice boost sounds like with our podcast, and if it improves the quality or whatever. But it has more features, and I just found the features for subscribing to podcasts a bit easier. Or it's been a while since I've used the Apple Podcast thing, but you can obviously subscribe to a podcast and tell it'll automatically delete podcasts after you've listened to it. And you've got settings for only keep the last 3 episodes or whatever, so it doesn't clog up too much of your storage or whatever. But yeah, so I'm trying to, like I said before at the beginning, you're never going to listen to everything of everybody.
Yeah.
But there's so many new crochet podcasts that I've not listened to that I'm like, I want to at least have a listen to as many as I can and get a sense of which ones I like the best and whatever. And just remembering that rather than sitting around watching TV that I don't really care about, I could be listening to podcasts or watching podcasts. Although one of the things I do, which is a weird thing to admit, but I'll watch podcasts when I'm in the shower sometimes. So I apologize to people who know I watch them. Sometimes I'm naked when I watch you, because there's a wall.
Can you hear it while you're taking a shower?
Yeah. We have a little like a shower caddy that usually hangs on your shower head. We have one just hanging on the wall next to the sink. But it happens to be right across from you when you're in the shower. So I just put my phone in the shower caddy, and then I watch podcasts.
And it doesn't get wet.
No.
One thing I wish, because I listen to my podcast either on my phone, but sometimes I listen to it off of my iPad, like when I'm sewing. Yeah. And it goes goes into my speaker, my Bluetooth speaker. I wish they would talk to each other so they know that you listen to it already, but they don't. Like the app.
Oh.
The app doesn't know that, she listened to it on her phone already.
Right.
Or her iPad already. At least the Apple one. But I don't think Overcast does it either. I mean, I don't have Overcast on my iPad, so I should probably try that to see if they know that I've listened to it already.
Yeah, if it syncs or syncs your place, so it knows she's 31 minutes in, and then it starts at 31 minutes if you switch or whatever. Yeah, I don't know if it does. It might be one of those things where you have to create an account.
I don't know.
Well, because surely
do you not create an account when you're listening to Overcast?
I don't remember. It's only on my phone, so
well, maybe I should just always listen to them on my phone then. That would
solve your problems, wouldn't it?
My problem. But I'm not that smart.
So what's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing is seeing the Finnish snowboard coach knitting in the Olympics.
The Olympics?
Yeah. I think it's so funny. He's a guy. His name is, I'm gonna totally mess up his name. Antti Koskinen? Something like that.
Perfect.
And while he's while he's watching his snowboarders snowboard, he's just standing there knitting with his little double point needles, and I think it's just adorable.
Is it just him that does it?
No, apparently the team members also knit now too, and then I think they were doing a group project where they're making a big giant scarf or something like that. But I just think that because that's been showing up in social media and stuff, and just I've been seeing him knit. So cool.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah. Are you saying he's pretty cute
No,
or the
it's
fact
cute.
that
It's cute.
yeah. So that's my favorite thing this time around.
Uh-huh.
I haven't really been paying that much attention to the Olympics because, sports and stuff isn't really my thing. But, I mean, it just amazes me that these young people, they're so brave. I mean, there's like, it's just, I'm going to go on this slide of death. Or I'm going to skate around this rink and everybody's wearing knives on their feet. So there was something on I think it was Facebook where they were comparing Summer Olympics and Winter Olympics, saying Summer Olympics, let's see who's the fastest swimmer, jumper, runner is, and then Winter Olympics, let's see who's gonna survive this crazy crap.
Like the Hunger Games.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible what these young people are doing, and some of them are not so young. Not super, super young. It's just amazing to watch them. Now, I have no idea what's going on, especially with curling. Your dad likes to watch curling every once in a while. And,
Sam has been watching so much curling. I think I woke up one morning and he was just lying in bed watching curling on his phone.
I don't know which teams they were, but there were two men curlers. One was wearing a red hat, and they're, from different teams. One was wearing a red hat, and he has a mustache. And another guy was wearing a green hat, and he has a mustache. And then next to it was a picture of Mario and Luigi. I thought that was kind of funny. That's how I watch the Olympics.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure curling originated in Scotland.
Did it really?
Yeah. We went to there's this mini curling museum exhibit thing that's only open on Sundays at Dr. Neil's Secret Garden in Duddingston. It's on the other side of Arthur's Seat. And yeah, we went like last year and just happened to be on a Sunday, and there was a guy in there in the little museum, and he was chatting to us about it. And
you've actually tried curling with the Girl Scouts?
Yeah, a long time ago. I hardly remember it. I think Sam wants to try curling. Apparently,
really?
They do like a
league.
Well, that's getting ahead of ourselves. But there's a place where you can try it in the city.
I think it's so funny. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people with their Roombas and Swiffers and mimicking the curling.
There was a meme of, I don't know what team it was, but in the meme it was, instead of the curling stone, it was cats. So it was just like someone just like push this cat, and then they're brushing the ice in front of the cat, and then it just goes doink, and then it dinks into a bunch of other cats.
You're gonna have to find that for me. That's funny.
Oh, speaking of Sam, I posted on Instagram as well, but he's been trying his hand at crocheting.
I know.
So not only does he take more interest in my crocheting than Daddy takes interest in your knitting, but he was just watching me do one of the granny squares, and he said, "Can I try?" or something. So that didn't go over so well. The granny square was a bit too much. But so in the end, I don't know, like chain 25 or something, did some single crochets, and then gave it to him, and he did the second row of single crochets. And by the end of it, like he was definitely going quicker than at the beginning, obviously. And I don't know that I'll ever be a crochet teacher because I just don't know how to explain it. But then, so he did that, and then the next day when I came home from work, it was Valentine's Day. And he'd made a little crocheted heart because he's adorable.
So cute.
But yeah, he found a good.
You should make that into a pin.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, he found a video tutorial. He said he had to try a couple, and then he found one that was good. The other ones, I think, assumed that you knew how to crochet a bit. So he managed the first round of this crochet heart. So he's got his treble crochets, double crochets.
Nice. Didn't you teach crochet, a volunteer or something? When
No,
you were
I
in
was
Boston?
asked to, but it just never happened.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's a good thing, because it would have been teaching children as well. I think that might have been the start and end of his crochet career. But he was saying that doing that, it And then now watching me crochet, because he has a bit more of an understanding, it looks less like just like hands moving and yarn doing things, and you can kind of make sense of what's going on.
Nice. Very nice. I'm very impressed, Sam. Very nice.
Mighty.
That's our favorite things, huh?
Do you have some shop talk?
I do have shop talk. I'm going to be making some noises here.
Okie dokie.
Because I'm going to be shuffling things around. I have been busy making lots of sheepy bags. I've made a couple of old favorites to replace the ones that were sold, and some new ones. This one has applique sheep on it. I think it's pretty adorable. And I also bought I ordered some new fabric that just came in.
Oh, those are cute.
So adorable.
I like the one that's like the multicolor sheep.
Yeah, me too.
And then that's like multi-pattern sheep.
Yeah. And then I made them into medium bags too. So these are all colorful sheep bags. This stripy one is actually, the stripe fabric is actually from my personal stash. So there's no more of that left. There was just enough to make this bag. So the next bag, medium bag, will have to have a different coordinating fabric. Yeah. Even this is from my personal stash. The
inside fabric?
The flap. Yeah. And should we show the prize bag?
Oh, you have decided on a prize bag.
Yeah.
I do remember this now, actually. I said earlier in the podcast that we didn't...
Can you see the little scribbles?
Yeah. But yes, so it's an appropriately purple bag for the Ultra Violet KCAL. With the applique sheepies. With a mama sheep
and a baby sheep. So it's pretty much the same as the one I made for the shop, except it's made with purple fabrics.
So we're going to have a purple bag, purple tee. So I feel like when you come home that we should dye some purple yarn. Yeah?
Yeah, and then we can offer that up as prizes. Because I do have some naked yarn.
Who wants yarn that we've dyed, though? There are much actual yarn dyers.
Yeah, well, nobody's volunteered to donate prizes, so... Hey, the yarns that I've dyed have come out pretty good. I think I've done a pretty good job with all the yarn that I've dyed so far. Not that there's a lot.
Yeah, it would obviously have to be purple, though. Which is kind of silly, because it's like, right, you've just made a bunch of purple projects, so what you need is more purple yarn, in case you weren't sick of it.
Well, purple is such a nice color. I actually have some purple dye that I haven't used yet. Well, we'll leave that up to you. I mean, if you think it's stupid, we won't do it. But if you want to maybe try some dyeing, we can do that together. That could be an activity that you do when you're home.
I definitely can see it as an activity, and maybe as a prize, just like a little mini skein of our exclusive KCACY hand-dyed yarn
inside the Pearl and Plum purple bag.
With your magic purple tea. Okay, shall we say goodbye?
Sure.
So you can find our show notes for this podcast and every other podcast episode, which, sorry, I didn't say before, episode 20. We're in the 20s.
Yay! I did say, I just introduced
yeah, I know you 20. Did say it was episode 20, but, like, we're in the 20s.
Yeah.
We're, like, legit.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so you can find our show notes there. And then, like I said before, on Instagram, you can find us at KCACY Podcast, and you can also find our separate, like, personal Instagrams. I'm Alyson here, and you are Al-M-Jama. That's helpful.
Maybe I should change it. Can I change it?
Maybe. You could change it. And make sure to subscribe on YouTube or on iTunes or wherever else you listen to us, and join our Ravelry group, Keep Calm and Carry Yarn Podcast. So thanks for listening.
And remember to keep calm and carry yarn.